Yeah, what's up, man? It's a Triple B Bass Boxing Basement. Make sure you hit the like, subscribe, and all this stuff, to keep the disgusting haters away. And there are too many, because they're weak and they can't handle the truth. But yeah, I took a bit of time out. So it's important for me to talk about, fights that have happened before, right? And one of the big fights was, for the UK, because no one else give a rat's ass about this fight, is Conor Benn vs. Chris Eubank. Now, the first thing is, I got to discuss the hypocrisy. The hypocrisy over drug tests. So, for example, right? So obviously, like everyone was hating on Conor Benn, the egg thing, and he failed the test, and right, okay, fair enough. He got allegedly let off with his 270-page justification. It's like, if you've got the money and the lawyers, you can get off anything, right? For example, Roy Jones Jr., who's one of the biggest PED abusers, failed a test, and everyone seems to forget that. Oh, it doesn't matter. He's one of the best ever. Oh, Roy Jones was amazing. Then there's Evander Holyfield, a.k.a. Evan Fields, There's Shane Mosley. He didn't actually fail the test, Shane Mosley, but he admitted afterwards that he cheated and he'd used HGH and all kinds of other stuff. Then, even Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali failed a drugs test for diuretics. Yeah. Now, diuretics is not really a performance enhancer. It's just to lose weight. But Muhammad Ali still failed the test. And no one hates on him, In other sports, Lynford Christie failed a test, right? Every single one of the 1988 Seoul 100 meters finals, where Ben Johnson won, but he got stripped of the title, and Carl Lewis was there and all that. They all failed the test at some stage, but people forget about it. They choose who they hate. You know what I mean? Why is Roy Jones Jr., who was extremely talented, yet failed the drug test? Why does everyone forget about that? Because people are pathetic. Because people forget things. Because if they like you, they'll ignore things. But Conor Benn got attacked very, very aggressively for failing the test. And anyway, so eventually the rematch happened. Chris Eubank Jr. vs. Conor Benn. It was a massive show. It was in the Tottenham Spurs, the arena, and it was like a WWE clown show. Okay, they had all these guys coming in, pretending they look like celebrities, and to be honest, I've got to be honest with you, I was fooled. Ed Sheeran, right? Anthony Hopkins, lookalikes. It was all there. And I think it's because, it was a Riyadh show. It was a Turkey ala Sheikh show. So you couldn't have no biatches because it's not allowed. It's not allowed for women to, show themselves in a bikini. But, this will change anyway, man. But it was pathetic, man. And you had, like, the Ed Sheeran guy. I don't know, he looked real. I was a bit surprised. Yeah. And I like ginger people. I think ginger people are strong. I think ginger people are warriors, But he looked like some weird Celtic gay rent boy, for some fetishistic perverts, who get off on gingers. It was all very weird. Anyway, the fighters, so they're wearing the same trunks as their dads did 35 years ago, right? Exactly the same colors. Exactly the same colors, right? And then he had the most cringe, embarrassing Eubank Sr. Bringing his son in, and they were getting all excited. Oh, look, oh, it's so beautiful. It's so beautiful. Oh, Chris Eubank Sr. is decided, because before he'd said, I'm not, I don't support this fight. I don't support this fight. Oh, Chris Eubank Jr. is coming in and bringing his son in. It's so moving. Come on, man. Get out of here, man. Yeah? How much did he get paid for that? Right? How much did he get paid for that? It was all a show. It was like a WWE show, And, I said to everyone, I said to my mans, there was only 5 fights, and I said to you, I bet you all of them go on points. And they did. And it was boring. It was overrated show, But because the commentator, I watched on my stick, I watched the Sky Sports commentary, not the DAZN. But I bet you the DAZN commentary with Adam Smith was like cringe. And look at him. This is one of the best fights we've ever seen. And Chris Eubank Sr. is coming in, and it's beautiful. Shut up, man. Shut up, man. It was rubbish. It was pathetic, right? It wasn't a bad fight, to be frank. But it wasn't a good fight. It wasn't a good fight, man. I thought Conor Benn edged it, maybe by a point or two, But I didn't really score it round by round. But, in the end, they gave it to Chris Eubank Jr., and he won. Now, Eubank Jr. looked, what's the word? Drained. He looked drained. Yeah. He clearly was not 100%. Conor Benn, right, was... Do you know what? What it was, it's like a lot of modern fights, right? You throw a couple of punches from outside and then just hold. Yeah? And half the time he missed. Most of his punches he missed. And then he just held Eubanks. That's not a fight, man. If you watch the old fights, yeah, when they get in close, they work the body. They work inside the pocket, as they say these days, which is also a very, very, very cringe expression. Okay, but there was no work there. There was just missing. There was holding. There was grabbing. Yeah, at the last couple of rounds, they went for it. It wasn't the worst fight in the world, but it was not that great. And Adam Smith was probably sitting there with his Corey, his very small Corey, in his circumcised Corey in his hand, stroking it, going, "This is one of the best fights we've seen for years." No, it wasn't, man. It's a half decent fight, but it was not that great. It was not that great. Yeah. And the problem is this. So these guys both got paid £10 million. £10 million for this. There was no world title at stake. There was no world title at stake. Right? It means nothing in world terms. Nothing. You got a guy moving up from welterweight to fight a middleweight. It doesn't mean anything in world terms. And now, and all the casuals and normies were all excited. I even got a message, "Oh, that was one sick fight." I said, no, it was rubbish. It was full of missing. It was full of holding. It wasn't the worst fight in the world, but let's not pretend we saw something special. We saw a couple of guys that one of whom was drained and couldn't fight to his to his best level, and another guy, Conor Benn, who would throw a couple of wild shots and then miss usually, and then just grab and hold. Like, I always say, like, this is how you judge a fight. If you see a fight and you get someone sitting there and who've never watched boxing before, they'll be like, why are they grabbing all the time? Why are they holding all the time? One of my girlfriends said that when I watched her first fight, and I said, well, I had no excuse. I could have said, it's part of the game. But no, it's rubbish. And they never used to do that in the old days. They never used to do that in the old days. And what do you got now? A rematch. Almost certainly a rematch. Why? Like I said, so many times in so-called big fights, they go the distance. I even think they have a kind of agreement, we'll go distance. Why? Because then they can be a rematch. Think about all the rematches, like, Canelo, Golovkin, stuff like this, De La Homo, we'll go a distance, and then everyone will go, oh no, I think De La Homo won, so let's have a rematch, and you have to sit through another fight. Yeah, in the old days, people went out to destroy and destruct. Yeah, like Hagler Hearns. Now, I think it's an overrated fight, but there's no messing around there. There's no messing around there. These guys were trying to hurt each other, In the 80s, in the 70s, these people were not happy to go the distance. They wanted to hurt each other. And now we have these stupid, boring distance fights. So that you can have a rematch. So now we've got a rematch between these two bums who mean nothing on the world stage. Right? And they've been paid $10 million each. Now look at for example, look at Josh Taylor. Josh Taylor is he just lost. He's past it now. But this is a guy who's an undisputed champion. One of Britain's best fighters recently, right? Did he get ever paid £10 million for a fight? No, of course not, man. He should have done. He should have done. He had the talent. Yeah. He beat the best. But no. People would rather watch bum Eubank again. And it's upsetting to me. And this is modern boxing. Which is a pathetic parody of old style boxing. Now, the old style, don't get me wrong, the old boxing was always crooked in its own way. But at least we had two guys that went in there that tried to knock each other out, right? Canelo, he's another one, man. Look at that bum fight against William Skull. He had no intention of trying to stop him. He sat there with his ginger hair, flat-footed, whilst Skull was not even trying, right? You've got Rolly Romero, Ryan Garcia, Yeah, he dropped Garcia Romero, but another fight that goes the distance, another fight that went the distance. Devin Gainey vs. whatever his name was, Ramirez, These guys are trying to ruin boxing. Nobody would watch boxing, right? If it was the first time you've watched a fight, and you watched Garcia Romero, Devin Gainey, Arnold Barbosa vs. Teofimo Lopez, you'd be like, I ain't watching this rubbish. I'm going to watch Lawn Bowls. I'm going to watch BKFC. Yeah, I'm going to watch tennis. Yeah, maybe I'm going to watch golf because this is whack. Right? What we need to do for boxing is return to the old school, the old days. We need wars. We need damage, right? People don't watch boxing to see two people outpoint each other in a close fight. People watch boxing because they want to see a man get ironed out. And that's the reason I got into boxing, right? So what's going to happen to boxing now? Well, I don't know, man. I don't know. If this carries on, people are going to move to bare knuckle fighting championships, You see people get bloody hurt. You see people taking shots. You see people get flattened, usually in the second round. Now, these guys are all past it and ex-MMA fighters and all that, but believe me, unless boxing picks up its excitement, then it's finished. Peace in the Middle East.